And we are live at our Jazz TV weekly session again. Nick, good morning.
Good morning, Jazz. How you been?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. What about yourself?
Great. Really busy weekend, this one for us.
Yeah.
But it was a great weekend, wasn't it? It was some really good outcomes.
And how was your weekend otherwise?
Yeah, it was great.
Did much?
Look, Sunday, it's always a bit of time to spend a bit of time with the family and enjoy yourself. But other than that,
recharge, what they say.
Exactly.
Recharge for the busy week.
But Saturday was a big day for us.
Absolutely. Saturday was quite busy.
It was.
Must admit.
It was.
I guess now, obviously, for the viewers, we'll be talking about Soul Story for 14 Waiben Cres here in Point Cook and talking about how's the market doing. That's the elephant in the room at the moment. Every household is talking the same. We had discussed with over 45 to 50 people last week who are potentially either looking at selling or perhaps would do something in the next 3 to 6 months. And everyone's asking the same question. Even down at the coffee shop, we meet people, cafe owners, or people we bump into, they ask the same question. Guys, how's the market? Now, obviously, it depends on everyone's personal circumstances. Market's good, I'd say, depending on if you're looking to buy or sell, and obviously a few other different factors that play a big role to understand how's the market doing. For a lot of people where tree change, sea change, or talking about upsizing, downsizing.
Absolutely.
There's different stages in people's life. Market does not affect them at all. It depends. Again, if you have any questions in detail, we can have a discussion and we can have a further conversation about your home or your circumstances. But again, let's jump back into 14 Waiben Cres. Let's talk about that. So Nick, 14 Waiben Cres, our client from Interstate. How was the process? How did we do? Where did we start? When did we start? What was the process end to end?
So with 14 Waiben, it was a bit of a different one to usual. Obviously, you'll find that some vendors are based within Victoria. We do have a number of, international and interstate vendors. So that is a really big one. It's peace of mind is what it is. It's peace of mind knowing that regardless of where you are, it is always the big question, I've got a property, but how do I get it from point A to point B without actually being there?
Absolutely.
And so with us, it was obviously getting the process of getting the property prepared.
Yes.
So taking it from the property, the owners felt that it wasn't the way they wanted it to be presented.
Right.
Which is something we always discuss.
Absolutely.
We're always talking about presentation.
Oh, that's critical. I think people talk about timing all the time. What's the best time to sell? I guess there's a few different factors. Step one, I guess, is presentation and marketing.
Absolutely.
And then it has subsections under it before you even talk about the timing of the market. And when you say end-to-end process, how does it look like for our clients?
So I guess from the very, very start, it's those initial talks about what are we going to do to get the property ready. So it's brainstorming. What is it that the vendors want to get organised prior to sale?
That's correct.
So things like staging, painting, minor touch-ups, and even major touch-ups if they want it around the property. So adjusting things around the property and making upgrades that in the long run will better the sale process.
Absolutely.
And things like landscaping. Staging and landscaping are usually the biggest, and then occasionally you get things like painting.
Yes,
you'll get rendering.
Exactly.
Upgrades throughout the property. They might put downlights, or they might do kitchen upgrades. They might, change cupboards. It's all a matter of preparing the process.
I guess it all comes down, I believe, from what I can gather from yourself and what we gather the intel from the market and from the buyers is a lot of people are time poor at the moment. Appetite's quite strong in the area, especially for Point Cook and Wyndham. A lot of people are looking to move in.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to spend time after purchasing a home, or perhaps, obviously, price drives that factor as well. But again, at the same time, if someone wants to buy a home, they're comparing 3 different houses and one house is ready to go, ready to move in. People would prefer, and people would pay top price for that home.
It is all the more a drawing factor.
Exactly.
I think when purchasing a property, it's a very determining factor when you decide to purchase that property. It does stand out, obviously. It makes the decision a whole lot easier.
Psychological factor, I guess, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it really is. And obviously we know this because
Yes.
from a buyer's standpoint, they see that and they think, well, it's much easier.
Yes.
They will compare it. Buyers will compare it against other properties and think, well, it is so much
That's
easier to
correct.
actually purchase a ready to move into home
Yeah.
rather than do work to the property.
I guess spot on, because a lot of people, as I said, they're time poor. Consumers these days want things fast.
They do.
People think time is money, and more so to do with the people's professions in the area itself.
Mhm.
A lot of people we have seen in the area are working in the background of IT or professional background in Point Cook, and they are busy. With the open homes as well, we do a lot of private inspections because people can't make it on the weekend. So that's why we do a lot of open homes during the week as well, and a lot of private inspections. So the week is fully busy. It's packed with the inspections and appointments. I guess for the sellers, one thing to understand is buyers research a lot. Market and the buyers and the consumers are very savvy at the moment. Everyone's got the same tools and same online platforms to access, and they see the sales, they compare the home. Psychologically, they make up a mind on a price. So a lot of different things come into play. So with our client at 14 Waiben Crescent, getting the home ready, from getting the house painted, we got the house staged, landscaping was done, good quality photos. The client invested in the marketing. They spent circa about $3,000 or plus or minus on marketing itself.
Absolutely.
And the marketing reached to a lot of people. I think we had over 50,000 views on the property the first week.
It was quite an impressive number.
Exactly.
And I think probably another thing to note with that property is, obviously being interstate, it is difficult for them to understand. It can be difficult for vendors to understand who the right tradies are, who will get the job done efficiently and for on time and a good price.
Exactly.
A fair price.
Timing plays a big role, because when it comes down to putting the property in the market, you might feel that that's fine an extra 2 weeks. For us, it's about being efficient on time, making sure we have deadlines in place.
And taking advantage of the current market.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the reason why our trades are in line with our expectations. We know one thing for a fact, that you wait for an extra week, there'll be 2 more properties on the market competing with yourself. So when there's less supply and more demand, the chances of getting a higher price is highly likely. Exactly what happened with 14 Waiben. Now, the buyer came from a database. We were working with this particular purchaser on different properties. So that goes back to a process of database management as well, where we categorize buyers in different categories, and obviously asking a lot of questions, making the buyers into different categories of hot, warm, and cold buyers, making sure that we focus our time on the activities which will bring results to our sellers, and obviously our purchasers, to ensure that they find the right property as well. What happened with this property in particular was, Nick, where obviously the purchaser who missed out on another property, which is right in the next street as well. We had a lot of buyers come through from Domain, realestate.com, because we asked this question at the open home as well. Where did the purchaser see the property? For our feedback, to ensure that we focus our marketing skills and the marketing techniques in those avenues as well. And talking about this purchaser, they had a look at the property, and obviously they knew the market really well. And we've got hundreds and hundreds of those similar buyers who are ready to purchase today. And that goes to a question where, if you guys are thinking selling, and if you have a home which is in the neighborhood here in Point Cook, would love to have a chat, because there's a lot of people ready to go. They haven't secured a right house. They know what kind of house they're looking for, and they're ready to pay the right price as well.
The real question is, are you thinking real estate?
Exactly.
That's the big one. Are you thinking real estate?
It doesn't have to be that you
Rates
Exactly.
for I guess, all of Victoria?
Market overall, I guess, in our office, as you mentioned, Nick, just before, market is quite strong for us, especially where we are implementing good marketing tools for our clients, and every property that we list certainly reaches out to a lot of people. Different avenues, obviously, we can have a further discussion about what sort of avenues that we use. One of them is social media. We use social media quite thoroughly as well, and we get a lot of buyers from social media, organically or through ads itself, plus different avenues that we have utilized in our office. Talking about the clearance rate, Nick, how was the clearance rate like?
So this week, so obviously week ending April 30th, we had 770 auctions reported.
In Victoria, wow.
In Victoria, yeah. So still quite a high number.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite a high number with a 73% clearance rate.
Wow. It's slightly less than what it was last week. I think we had 560 auctions last week.
We did, yeah. With a 75% clearance rate.
Exactly. I guess one thing what I'm noticing is, based on my experience in a different market cycle, is you need an agent who actually delivers a lot of feedback, brings in a lot of messages from the market to the vendors to ensure that your campaign is positioned in the way that it'll get an outcome for you. If your property's on the market and you're not hearing from your agent every day, or your agent's not talking to you about what's happening with the campaign, that's another problem in itself. Would you agree?
I would, yeah. I think communication is one thing that's vital to a campaign.
Exactly.
It's not about having the campaign sit there and work itself out.
Exactly.
It's about clear communication between the vendors and the agents themselves.
Yes.
I think that when you have that discussion, you ascertain a little bit more information about what really is going on.
That's correct.
Your agent updates you and tells you, look, here's what's going on with the market. Here's where we should believe we should position ourselves.
That's correct.
For the upcoming market, or if there's a shift in the market, or if we know that the market's staying strong, where do we position ourselves to best, I guess, achieve an outcome that's right for us? That's done in a variety of ways.
Yes. And I guess one thing which I would like to bring up here is, some of the times the trickiest part is when the vendors think we're not getting buyers through the doors at the open home, and this is quite common in a changing market, or the market which is becoming a bit normal, even though we are seeing a lot of interest and activity around our campaign, is we've heard from a lot of sellers in the market who are currently listed with our colleagues in the industry, where they've mentioned, I met someone just around the corner today having a coffee this morning. They said, we're not getting anyone through. There's not many buyers in the market, which is not
true.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's not. And I think the reasoning behind it is that, sure, there may not be buyers at your door.
Yeah.
But at the same token, when you find there is an obstacle, rather than look outward, you look inward to find a solution to the problem. The question is, what more can I be doing to I guess, get around? Sorry. There we go. It's about finding the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
And it's more about troubleshooting what that is.
Exactly. I think fault finding, or the troubleshooting, is something which we focus very carefully on. We want to make sure every campaign that we launch in the market is carefully monitored beforehand.
Absolutely. And it's not only about, I guess, there's the preamble to the campaign.
That's correct.
But at the same token, you go back to what we were talking about before. You roll back and you think, okay, where can we position ourselves to utilize the most effective strategies in order to achieve that outcome?
Exactly.
And that's one big thing that we do tend to focus on in our campaigns. If the moment we see it, it's all about, okay, let's correct it.
Yes.
And let's ensure that we are on the right path to achieve that outcome. And it is how we do consistently achieve those outcomes.
Exactly.
So, and not only that, but how can you monitor those things in the market, Jazz? How do we know what's going on and how to position ourselves?
I guess from that's a really good question. Me personally, I believe that's your agent's job. If you hire a specialist and a professional to bring feedback, to run the campaign, speak to the buyers, have they got enough buyers to get some understanding on price? Why there's not many people coming to the open, or why there's no one turning up at the open homes? That's a big question. Are we, as an agent, sending regular campaign reports to our vendors, understanding how's the campaign performing. That's number one. With our office, I don't know how other people would do it, but obviously if, for an example, we hardly have these kind of obstacles in our campaigns, our clear communication and start of the process is always correct. If the property is listed well, there's no way you would not get an offer in the current market. Every property I've seen in Point Cook would certainly get offers. Now, level of offers could be 5 offers at a property, could be 20 offers, but there's no way you would not get an offer on the property in Point Cook.
Absolutely. And I think a big thing around that is knowing where the market's at. Market feedback is critical.
That's correct.
The real question is, are the agents going out and looking at the level of marketing? Are they keeping up with the market? Are they watching the market?
That's correct.
Are they attending things like auctions, open homes
themselves?
When they get the chance?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's another big one.
That's correct.
Going and actually looking and monitoring other open homes, other auctions.
Especially with the properties which are, or you feel potentially could be competing with your vendor's property.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is one thing that we have done.
Yeah.
We do it quite often. So especially on a weekend, we will take a look at other auctions,
as well.
Other open homes. We need to gauge the level of interest to be able to mitigate any sort of problems that may come up throughout the campaign and address that, boom, straight away. We know where the market's at. We know what's going on.
Exactly. And I think bringing that point up is great. In fact, some of the purchases from the auction we attended last weekend in the area itself, it was a feedback we received afterwards from the purchasers who were attending the auction there. I received a lot of phone calls and text messages thereafter. One of the purchasers in particular said, I'm really impressed that you guys are not just selling your properties, but also keeping an eye on what's happening with the other properties in the market so you can help your vendors understand the market.
Not only that, but it's also a very important marketing tool too.
Exactly.
They know who we are. Buyers in the market who are serious about purchasing know who we are.
That's correct.
And they see us at those opens and those auctions, and it immediately draws a sign of curiosity from them.
That's correct.
And, well, needless to say, we saw purchasers who came from that auction
to our opens.
Yeah, 10 minutes later, we're at our open.
Exactly.
After the auction.
And I guess that gives us more leverage as well to understand which buyer is ready to go.
Absolutely. It was a very keen eye from them.
Yes.
You know, they were looking in a certain area of Point Cook.
Yeah.
And needless to say, 10 minutes later, the keen buyers who were at the auction bidding.
Now, guess what will happen? If they make an offer at our property, we know exactly how to position ourselves to negotiate best for our vendors as well.
And it all comes back to the one thing.
Exactly.
Is your agent learning and constantly adapting on how to position your campaign in the best way possible?
I guess that comes down to the conclusion, market is good if your campaign's good.
Absolutely. And for those homes that are presenting well and
are
priced well, similar to 14 Waiben, you know, no home.
For example, glad that you brought this up. 14 Waiben was priced well, positioned well in terms of the marketing, and it went towards the top end of the range.
It did. And I think that is a key factor when discussing homes like this. It is very important to understand that the homes that are priced well and presented well will sell.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that concludes our Jazz TV Weekly for today. And if you have any questions, guys, reach out to us, and I would love to help. And Nick, anything else you would like to add in for today?
I think it's just the usual. I think thank you so much for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. We hope to see you next week on Jazz TV Weekly. And from, I think, myself and Jazz and the rest of the team.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate your time, and have a lovely week ahead.
Catch you later, guys.